Hey. Time for another Out of This World story from rSpace. I, 23 male, broke up with my girlfriend, 23 female, after she cheated on me, even though we had a 7-year relationship. How to move on? Hey everyone. Quick question. A week ago, I broke up with my girlfriend because she cheated on me with a coworker. She says she only kissed him, but to be honest, I can't really be sure. In any case, I said we should speak again in 6 months to see if anything changes. But as of now, it's an official breakup. I guess I had 2 questions. Can people who cheat really change? We had a 7-year relationship, and we were really happy together. And she said she would commit to change during those 6 months, and she sounded incredibly apologetic. Can change happen though? Or am I being too optimistic? My second question is this. I went on Instagram today to check some work things. I work in social media marketing, and I saw her out partying, and now I'm completely devastated. Given that I need social media because I work, is there any way to deal with these types of situations? I blocked her and all her friends, but a common friend of a friend posted a story and she was in it. I would appreciate all help as she is my one and only relationship, and it's been 7 years, so I'm really hurting at the moment, and I don't know how to cope. I've felt really depressed, anxious, and even suicidal, but I know it's part of the process of a breakup, and I won't act on my thoughts. Update. Hey everyone. Last week I posted here. I told you all that my girlfriend had told me she cheated on me with another guy, but that it had only been a kiss. I ended up telling her that we were breaking up, but that in 6 months we could speak again as long as she went to therapy and solved some of her emotional issues that I believed led to her cheating. She was really remorseful and agreed to do that, promising to focus on herself and improving so this wouldn't be an issue ever again, and so we could maybe get back together in 6 months. All of this led me to believe things might improve for her at some point. Turns out a week later, yesterday, I had to hand in some stuff into her apartment, and I decided to chat with her again. Only this time, things were wildly different. She confessed the cheating hadn't been only a kiss. She sucked him off. And she also confessed she had sex with that same guy 2 days after we broke up, despite telling me she was going to work on her issues to get us back together. That wasn't it though. She also confessed, after a lot of me pushing her to, that she had sex with a friend of mine a week after breaking up from a 7-year relationship with me. So basically, 1 week after telling me she would get therapy and solve her issues and be committed to solving our relationship, she went and slept with the same guy she cheated on me with and had sex with a close friend. Needless to say, I broke things up permanently and cut off ties with my trash friend. The point of this, though, is to remind you all that whatever she says is very different to what she will do, and that believing one of these cheaters can change is truly just tricking and hurting yourself. Any support or advice on how to overcome this amount of betrayal would be appreciated, as I'm not sure how to move on from a 7-year relationship. Thanks everyone. Our first reaction comes from On the Beach 61. It's never just a kiss. Reddit Avenger 2019 chimes in, a lesson to all, judge people by their actions, not words. Cranach has a more in-depth thought. The difficult part of moving on is to actually do exactly that, to move on. You probably feel right now like you lost your energy to do anything, and your thoughts are more turned towards your past and her instead of your future. So what you should do is to make a conscious decision to move on and to force yourself to think about your future and not so much about your past. Start that with taking care of yourself. Drink plenty of water and eat healthy. Skip out on alcohol and drugs. Get in contact with people that you trust, like family and friends, and spend time with them. Get these people on your side. Tell them about this ex-friend of yours and what your ex-girlfriend did, and ask them not to tell you anything about them in case that they hear something. Block both of them in everywhere possible. Get out. Don't be home all the time. Start exercising. It will help you feel good in your body and to sleep at night. Make yourself short and long-term goals and then think about what you need to do to achieve them. Then start working on them. Be active and at the same time, let your emotions out. It is okay to cry if you feel sad. You just lost the idea you had about your future. So it is okay to cry. Being angry is okay as well. Punch a pillow or go to a forest and scream your anger out. Just don't bottle your emotions up. Let them out. I wish you all the best on your way forward. On to the next story. Girlfriend still cheats after being caught. Girlfriend is cheating on me. I found her text with another guy because I had been seeing they were talking for a few weeks. This is the first time I've checked her phone since we started dating over 2 years ago. Yeah, she's been seeing this man and talking to him how much she regrets sharing a lease with me. I confront her the first time. She didn't say anything. I go to the second time. She gets mad at me, then apologizes shortly after. A couple of days go by and she acts like nothing happened. Then at the park while we were with her mother, I see his notification pop up. I act like I don't see it. I check it again and she gives the man our new address. I confront her and she just gives me a million reasons why she can't talk. There's so much more I wish I could add for you guys to better understand my situation. Either way, I'm not sure what to do now. Update. She belongs to the streets. I have a career, school to finish, and life to live, and a wonderful son. She made her own decision. It's time for her to go. Update. Talked to her this morning again, and she doesn't know what she wants apparently, and doesn't seem willing to co-parent. She won't really acknowledge or respond with anything, so it's basically talking to a brick wall. I'm just trying to figure out what we do with her during the situation she put us in. Our first response comes from Director 20530. Jesus. What will it take before you wake up? Contact a lawyer about your parental rights. Talk to your landlord about breaking the lease and get away from this woman. Go no contact except for conversations involving your child. Battle Scarred 2021 chimes in. Either way, I'm not sure what to do now. This nature of yours, even after catching her twice, is why she cheated on you. Why are you still with this piece of crap? Moving on from Don't Mind Me 89. She's already showed you that she doesn't want you. Do you want her to say it in Chinese? Leave her and move on. There are other women out there. Why won't you let yourself find happiness? Our next comment from DC011132. Tell her to leave. Come on, brother, don't be treated like crap. He's more important to her than you. He's in the privileged place of seeming exciting and doesn't have to put up with her BS. Please don't beg. It only makes you look weak. The only thing I would tell her is that you deserve better and to go be with him. Deep down, if you already think about it, do you really want to be with someone that cheats and is only there with you because she's on the lease? Moving on to the next story. How my dad got caught cheating. A couple of days ago, I, an older adult female, posted in Malicious Compliance about what happened when my dad told my mother to tell her boss that she was quitting. That post blew up. Thanks to everyone there for all the awards, upvotes, and kind words. So here's a story about my dad and one of his affairs. When I was in college, lived at home, attended the local college, my dad started an affair with a woman on his mail route. We'll call her Rachel. Rachel was married to a violent, abusive alcoholic. Now my mother managed the finances, struggled to keep the bills paid in spite of my dad's sometimes reckless spending. He liked his toys. Up until he and R started their affair, my dad had always just turned his paycheck over to my mother because he couldn't be bothered to worry about how the bills got paid. After seeing his mail truck parked in the front of a strange house on several occasions, I finally realized that he was having an affair. I didn't know who it was and might never have known, except that my dad eventually tried to get my younger brothers to include their teenage daughter in their activities. They refused, saying that she was the biggest slut at the high school. My mother realized early on that something fishy was going on because instead of bringing his paycheck home to her, he was getting it cashed and keeping part of the money for himself. Something he had never done before. And he didn't need to, because when my mother got his check cashed, she kept some spending cash out for both of them. He wasn't lacking for cash. Now, our house was my dad's mail route. Keep that in mind, it's important. So at lunchtime, he would stop in for lunch and bring the email. No big deal, right? One of the businesses on my dad's mail route was a motorcycle shop, and he decided to buy a motorcycle. My mother told him that they couldn't afford the payments. He was, by then, keeping back part of his paycheck, so there was less money to pay the bills. 2 kids in college, 3 more in high school. He informed me that she was trying to control him, and he was not going to let that happen. He bought the motorcycle and 2 helmets with face shields. On credit, of course. The guys at the motorcycle shop took my dad to an empty parking lot and gave them a crash course, with pretty crappy warnings about being on unfamiliar roads, use of handbrakes, etc. That was on Saturday afternoon. Sunday afternoon, he decides to take my youngest brother riding on unfamiliar country roads. except that he came to a T intersection and didn't know which way to turn. Panicked, used the wrong brakes, sent my brother flying down the road on his face. Thank goodness for face shields. And my dad and the motorcycle ended up in someone's front yard. Dad and brother went to the ER by ambulance. The motorcycle got hauled back to the motorcycle shop. My brother was fine, a little banged up, some road rash, but no major injuries. My dad, however, broke his collarbone in several places, which required major surgery and physical therapy. He was in the hospital for several days. Now, remember what I said about our house being on my dad's mail route? Well, our mail was now being delivered by a substitute mail carrier, and my mother now got the mail minus the middleman. So my dad was in the hospital recuperating. The sub is delivering all the mail, and my mother is now getting all the mail. She brings the mail in one day with a puzzled look on her face. I asked her what's wrong. She handed me an open envelope. It was a bill in my dad's name from an exclusive women's shop in our town, with a large balance, payments made, and even recent purchases. Now, my dad had never, ever purchased any type of clothing for my mother, much less from an expensive store. If she wanted new clothes, she was expected to make them. He had even bought her a sewing machine for that purpose. On credit, of course. My mother didn't say anything else, just placed the open bill on the table next to his chair and left it there. He got home from the hospital, saw the envelope, and blanched. It disappeared. He later tried to tell her that he was buying stuff on layaway for her. She went up there to see all these things he was putting on layaway for her. The staff unfortunately covered for him and said that they had put everything back on the racks since he'd missed payments. However, he couldn't hide it anymore, so my mother finally got the nicest clothes she had ever had. He still wouldn't admit the affair though. When my daughter was born the next summer, he started bringing home toys and stuffed animals from the woman's business. She and her daughter showed up one night bringing gifts for the baby. I'd never met the woman or her daughter, just heard about them. How smart the daughter was, how pretty she was. Such gorgeous red hair. How he wished one of my brothers would date her. Neither my sister nor I ever heard such glowing compliments from him. And how attractive Rachel was, how well groomed she was, how well dressed she was, in spite of being married to an abuser. Side note, my mother went to high school with her husband, and he was an abusive bully even then. You get the picture. That, however, was when I realized who the side chick was. My mother confronted him after I left. He denied anything was going on, but they were just friends, you know? She kept demanding that he end it. He refused, saying nothing was going on. After months of denial, my mother gave up everything that Rachel had ever purchased for my daughter and confronted her. My mother informed her, in no uncertain terms, that my dad was refusing to end the relationship, so she, Rachel, had better. Rachel was somewhat defiant until my mother mentioned that she had gone to high school with her husband and knew what he'd do to Rachel if he ever found out about the affair. Rachel promptly ditched my dad. My dad was furious with my mother, said she would tell Rachel's husband about the affair and tell him who she was having the affair with. He maintained a very low profile for a few months at least. And the motorcycle, it needed some minor repairs. My dad never rode it again, but he did turn it over to my youngest brother. Moving on to the next story. My roommate found out today that her ex was married the whole time she was dating him. My roommate found out today that her ex was married the whole time she was dating him. No real names used. Today, my roommate, 21 female, let's call her Laura, found out for the first time that her recent ex, let's call him Dave, 20 male, was married the whole time she was dating him. Laura was on Tinder today swiping away when she came across a familiar face, her ex. It was Dave on the front picture with two of his groomsmen and a wedding band on his finger. The Tinder account belonged to Dave's brother, Thomas, not his real name, as he was one of the groomsmen on the patio. Laura matched with Thomas on Tinder to figure out why Dave was in the picture looking married. However, she didn't let on that she knew Dave, and instead just flirted, saying things similar to, "Oh, nice to meet you, mister. I would say your last name out of respect, but I don't know it." So she got information about Dave's last name and that he was married last April, 2021. Laura met Dave and they started dating in November of 2020 until she broke it off with him in November, December of 2021 over text. She broke it off because he was being crappy, to put it nicely, and never going on dates with her in public. He often would cancel last minute and say he got in a car wreck when he didn't, or that he got sick. She would, however, come over for hookups, and there were explicit photos exchanged between Laura and Dave. Dave lied about his true last name, which is why she was never able to find his accounts on social media while they were dating, and he lied saying he didn't have much on social media. Laura never knew he was married, and they had a strong emotional relationship. He even told Laura he loved her, wanted to marry her, talked about future baby names. Laura now feels really crappy because she found all the social media accounts tied to Dave and his current wife. Let's call her Isabel. Laura is having a really tough time emotionally and obviously does not want to make any decisions today, but she is afraid to tell Isabel for the fear of her own life being ruined. Although she feels terribly miserable about it and all of the feelings are fresh, tears have been shed. How do I support my friend Laura in this time? And what should we do about telling his wife? If you were married, would you want to know from Laura, and would you be livid at Laura even though she had no clue? I am team to tell the wife because they have been married just under a year and she could get out now before they're in together too long. Obviously, I will not be doing anything without Laura's consent because she is my friend and I am here to do whatever she needs me to at this time. I just feel it is a moral responsibility to have told Isabel. If it is the right thing to tell Isabel, like I think, how should I sit down and help Laura to have the courage to tell her? Update. Crap, y'all, it gets worse. I was doing some digging on Facebook and it appears Isabel is pregnant as well. Our first reaction comes from Box's Best. Tell the wife. Imagine if she ends up having a kid with this guy before she finds out he is a cheating loser. Wouldn't you want to know if your entire marriage was a lie instead of continuing on blindly and maybe making a family together? The OP responds, yes, definitely, I 100% agree, she should tell the wife. But she is emotional about the situation right now, rightfully so, and just wants to stop feeling pain so she doesn't want to. I told her she doesn't have to decide now, but that she should think about it throughout the week, and I'm encouraging her to tell the wife. I'm trying to encourage her to do the right thing while also being responsible to her emotional needs. It's been a balancing act. I'm not sure what else I can do to convince her to tell the wife. And I promised her I wouldn't do it without her permission. In the end, it is her place to tell Isabel and not mine. Our first reaction from Sin0289. She needs to tell the wife. Your friend isn't the one breaking the relationship. He is. Although your friend can give his wife the opinion that makes a life decision, he hasn't. Next thought from Lady Cloud 0579. First of all, OP, do not leave your friend at any time she needs you. The right thing to do is to tell his wife she doesn't deserve to be lied to like your friend. And though it may cause harm, the truth hurts, but it is better now that the marriage is young and she will make a decision whether to face it or forgive it will be her decision. You will do your part in telling her. Our last comment from MinuteBox3852. I agree with you. I would tell your friend his wife deserves to know before kids are involved. Please, God, let there be no babies yet. He's going to keep cheating on her and she will find out eventually. Better to find out now, easily in the marriage, than later with 1, 2, 3 kids and more joint money and assets.